And here we are with little Solanna at the beginning of the wet season. And there's our parents, Bees, I see a mushwood. So maybe let's say hi to our friends. Deezus sits before a collection of rocks, grouped by color and texture. As you watch, he takes another rock from his pockets and stacks it with its kin. He looks up at you. "What?" he says flatly. "You've never seen rocks before?" "I was just saying hi." "Hey, Cal." Cal is kneeling in the dirt, carefully planting pieces of potato. "When I was a kid, I thought everything grew from chopped up pieces of bigger things. I mean, that's how it worked for potatoes and onions." He sits back on his heels, a funny look on his face. "I guess I must have never thought about how babies are made, huh?" Huh. "Hey, Tammy." Tammy is outside with a small gaggle of children from the creche, all stomping around in puddles and waving umbrellas. She laughs as she warns them not to catch too many raindrops on their tongues or they might grow antennae. "Oh, hello, Solanna," she says, wiping a splatter of purple mud from someone's cheek. "Nice weather today, don't you think?" "Mm-hmm." "That's why maybe I'll play with Anemone?" Anemone is running around the sports ball pitch. "Calm says the most important part of defense training is knowing when to run away." She huffs and runs fast. "Good thing I'm good at running." "You want to train together?" On your way to the sports ball pitch, Anemone shares a story about one time her brother Calm spiked a ball so hard he broke Utopia's nose, back when she used to play sports ball too. She describes it in gory detail. "But don't go easy on me," she exclaims. "That's why we have med beds, right? Plus I might get a cool scar." She thumbs the blue scale scar on her jaw, right under her ear. I mean, I guess. Especially if glow season's coming up, we might want to try to learn how to protect ourselves a little bit. You attend the first session of Security Chief Brett's self-defense class. It's a small class, mostly security officers and other adults. You and Anemone are the only kids. She gives you a wink and a cheesy thumbs up as you listen to Rhett rant about how everyone in the colony needs to learn self-defense. You could be walking along thinking you're safe within the walls, and a flying animal could swoop out of the sky. Then what would you do? Rhett chops the air with his hand. "I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to chop that beast right in the throat. Hi-ya!" He points at the assembled class. "But only if you learn what I'm about to teach you. And the only way to learn is by doing. Who wants to volunteer for a demonstration?" Safety in numbers. You try to become invisible so you won't get called on by Chief Rhett. Someone else volunteers, and Rhett flips him to the mat and demonstrates what happens when you try to grapple with someone bigger. How embarrassing. Glad that wasn't me. Only engage with the enemy when there's no other alternative. Yes, I agree. Rhett says. No one walks away from a fight without getting hurt, so the first rule of self-defense is not to put yourself in situations where you need to fight. Very true. Once you've learned the situational awareness, we'll move on to hand-to-hand self-defense, drawing on a variety of martial arts. Only when I'm confident that you're ready will we advance to weapons. There aren't that many weapons in the colony, mostly stun gloves, and batons, and a few blast rifles. You hope you don't have to use them, but it'll be good to know how. This is a lot more cards than I'm used to at the beginning. I'll go ahead and do that. And now it's mid-wet season. I'll go over and say hi to Tammy. Tammy is at the door of the lounge holding a tray of freshly baked sweets. "Oh, Solanna," she exclaims, holding out one to a passing child. "You're just in time to try out my new soy sweet flavor." She places one in your hand. It's still warm and slightly squishy. "Aw, thanks. Maybe this month I'll help you with the kids." Oh, I should maybe see how my parents are, though, too. "Hi, Dad." You spot your dad lying on the ground in soft grass looking up at the sky. He zooms his hand across the field of vision like a spaceship. then looks over with a dreamy smile. Hey kiddo, he says, sometimes I can't believe we're back on solid ground. After 20 years in space, it still doesn't feel real. Your mom is hard at work. Are you even surprised anymore? She cares about these fields more than she cares about anything else. Yeah, she'd give her life for these fields. Well, then maybe I should help her. You're helping your mom repair the garden fence when you see Cal slip away into the barn carrying a blanket. You excuse yourself to follow him. Does he still have socks? He does, in fact, still have socks. Cal looks up at you and smiles, cradling socks in his arms and rocking her back and forth. The little nubs on her butt seem like they're getting longer. She must be growing. I made her a little bed in that trunk over there, he says. She mostly just likes to be curled up in the dark. She sleeps a lot. Yeah, 'cause she's growing. Socks chirps and Cal sits on the floor, letting her curl up in his lap. I've been coming in every morning and staying late every day so she can play in the sun, he explains. That's when she's most active, but her favorite thing is laying in my lap for belly rubs. He tickles her soft tummy. Isn't that right, Socks? Who's a good dilly piller? You are! Socks trills in delight. You want to feed her? Cal asks. I collected a bunch of leaves for her. Here, take one. You kneel down beside them and take one of the leaves. Socks trundles from Cal's lap into your cupped hands and gingerly holds the leaf between her two front paws. She's like a tiny dinosaur caterpillar. Munch, munch, munch. Ow! Socks nips at your finger. Her teeth are really sharp. But it's probably okay. I mean, she's just a baby. You pretend like it doesn't hurt, but it super does hurt. You can barely keep yourself from crying as Socks munches happily on the rest of her leaf. See, she didn't mean to. When she's done, Cal puts her gently back in the box. Then he notices your hand and gasps, Solanna, are you hurt? Cal looks over your finger, which is bleeding sluggishly from the shallow puncture wound. I learned first aid from my mom, he says. Let's just wrap it and tell people you banged it in the door, okay? He bites his lip. If people think she's dangerous, they'll take her away. She's not dangerous. It was an accident. I know, Cal. Cal brushes his hand over the loose dirt and straw of the barn floor. My mom says the aliens here are dangerous, he mutters. I asked, like, in theory, if I found an alien, could I keep it as a pet? But she said I can't, even if it's a nice alien, because of diseases and stuff. He sighs. Socks isn't sick, he insists, and she doesn't mean to hurt anybody. The other animals probably don't either. Yeah. And now, oh, I reached toughness level 1. Cool. Uncle Tonin. You step cautiously outside the colony gates. Hey there, kiddo. Uncle Tonin blocks your way with a smile. I'm afraid expeditions are off limits for now. It's not safe out there for kids. Oh, I know. It's not safe for anyone out there, really. Which is why I think I'm gonna hang out with Tammy in the creche. Cal is doing some stretches in an open area of the garden. One of my mom's boyfriends is teaching me yoga, he says, looking up at you from upside down. I can already do the child pose and downward dog. He flops over and lies on his back. This one's my favorite, though. Hey, Deese. Deese is perched up on a big rock, silently watching the forest. He barely moves as you approach. The longer you look, the more you see, he says cryptically. I mean, that is true, isn't it? Hey, Tammy. I guess I'll hang out with you and make some soy sweets. Back on Earth, you know, humans used to have babies willy-nilly with very little planning. Here, making a new human requires approval from the council, and there haven't been any new babies since you landed. The one in your arms was born shortly before you passed through the wormhole. You hold the youngest member of the colony with reverence, staring down at her sweet, chubby cheeks. She's just a bundle of blinking, mildly confused joy, gazing sleepily at you. She wiggles like she wants to get free from her swaddle. I guess we could try to make her more comfortable. Her arms explode out of the swaddle as soon as you loosen it, smacking herself in the head. Oh! Her tiny face scrunches up as she lets out a wail. You try to calm her, but she grabs your finger and yanks hard. Who's been teaching this baby jujitsu? Anemone? While you're trying to regain control of your finger, the baby grabs your hair and pulls that too. Babies. Magical. Tammy walks over to see how you're doing. Aw, she exclaims, it looks like she likes you. Let me take her and put her down, okay? She takes the baby and sets her down in the crib in the quiet room, then comes back and gives you a sunny smile. Well, we'll see how long that lasts. It'll be tough when all the babies are grown up and no one takes naps anymore. I'm going to miss the quiet time. I'm going to miss the babies the most, though. I love babies. Yeah, they're pretty cute. Tammy tugs on her ear, which she does when she feels unsure of herself. She tugs on her ear a lot. Well, I hope that when the council allows new babies again, if I'm old enough that I can volunteer for it, she says shyly. I mean, I don't even know how it works, really, but they'll tell me, right? Hold up. Tammy doesn't know how babies are made? Tammy. I mean, they taught it in school. Tammy laughs nervously. Oh, Solanna, you know I'm not really good at school, and it was so embarrassing. I haven't done that part yet. I haven't even been able to open the holovids. I do know the basics, though, she says defensively. Babies start as teeny-weeny specks inside the womb, and they get bigger and bigger, and then they come out. I just don't know the other stuff. Well, it's important to know how they show up in the first place, Tammy. There's commotion in the square. An expedition vehicle has driven through the gates and is idling in the middle of the square. An unusual sight. People come down from command to investigate. Oh no. Uncle Tonin. Tammy. Utopia gets out of the vehicle and trudges over to Udicott. After a brief conversation, you see Udicott gesture for the people to unload the vehicle and clear the area. You stay out of the way to see what they're unloading. It's the body of Chief Surveyor Tonin. Someone quickly covers him with a sheet, but not before the image of his torn open body is seared into your memory. However he died, it was violent and bloody. You feel your stomach cramp with nausea. Tammy. Does that mean she's an orphan now? What happened? Deese asks, coming over to crouch in the corner with you. You share that Uncle Tonin is dead, and he stares at the sheet-covered body intensely, as if he could see through it. Did they say how? Maybe they'll tell us later? Deese frowns. No, they won't. They'll just say something happened, the same way a bunch of animals happened to attack the colony. They don't want us to know about the monsters and other worse stuff. They want us to think everything is fine, but it's not. This planet isn't as nice as they say it is. He shakes his head. They hate that they can't control us. You and Deese watch the adults carry Uncle Tonin's body away. From the way he's practically vibrating, you can tell Deese wants to ask more questions about what happened. After a few awkward minutes, he sneaks away without saying anything, probably to go try to take a look at the body. Someone's going to have to help to tell Tammy. You're glad it's not you. Tammy and her dad were really close. Now she's an orphan. You watch Utopia bend over to get a hug from Udicott, wiping her eyes as she finally cries. Udicott has never been the most comforting presence in your life, but it seems to help. Utopia will probably be the next chief surveyor. At 24, she'll be the youngest council member. She was only a toddler when the stratosphere left Earth. Apparently, her sharp eye and hoverbike flying skills are the best in expeditions. Oh, Tammy. Tammy? I'm sure she's hiding inside. I think, on the note of our discussion last time, maybe I'll do life sciences. Cal and Tank get into an argument about the morality of animal testing. Predictably, Cal is against it. calling it an unnecessary cruelty. Tang doesn't rise to the bait. Instead of defending it on the basis of whether it's cruel or not, she skips right into arguing that even if it is cruel, it's still necessary. She says that sometimes the benefits are worth doing something you would normally think is immoral. Oh. Oh hey, Supergirl. And Glow seeks an attack. It's been a quiet glow, but the grim, surreal darkness of the season reminds you of last year's violence. As the months wear on, you overhear arguments at dinner, adults worrying that an attack is still coming, and others who think the first one was a fluke. Surveyors mention seeing new tracks in the forest, but are shushed so people don't panic. The gates are closed. You drill emergency procedures, filing soundlessly from the classroom to the creche to hide under the tables, waiting for the sirens to call the all clear. You drill and prepare and worry, but nothing happens. Just then, as glow is starting to wane, the toxic purple spill of the wormhole fading as the suns almost rise past the horizon again. The sirens start. You're reading a hollow novel in bed when you hear them, followed by the stomp of boots down the hallway outside your quarters. An alert flashes on your hollow palm. Shelter in the creche. This is not a drill. You get another message from your dad. Me and Mom are going to stay in the greenhouses. We're safe. Just follow Auntie Anne to the creche and wait for us, okay? Don't worry, we're more prepared than we were last year. Love you. Stay safe. Professor Hal. You could go to the creche where you belong, or you could follow the security guards and see what's happening at the gates. Just as you peek your head out the door, you're struck by a horrible premonition. Someone's in danger in engineering. You blink and shake your head, but the feeling persists. Professor Hal! You don't know what compels you to go to engineering. It's nowhere near the walls, and the corridors are quiet as you approach. You burst into the classroom to find Professor Hal cornered by a small chittering thing. It's moving too fast to tell what it is. Every time Hal tries to get around it to flee, it climbs up the walls and keeps jumping at him. He's fending it off with the table, but he's getting tired. As you watch, the thing leaps at his throat and tears a chunk out of him. Hal screams in pain and crumples to the ground. You must gasp, but the thing turns to you and lunges. Professor Hal. Okay. 20. Okay. Well, at least I was able to defend myself. But how? Is that it tore a chunk out of his throat? That probably still killed him. It's impossible to hit the thing. It's so fast. It's like a smear at the edge of your vision. What you do manage to do, though, is lure it outside the classroom and get Congruence to slam the door shut. You hear it beating against the door as you run to Hal's side. Congruence guides you through how to hold pressure to Hal's throat and stop the bleeding. But stars, there's blood everywhere. Eventually, the doors open and Chief Engineer Instance runs in, directing some of the security team to load Hal into a stretcher and take him to the med bay. There's no sign of the creature. I did it. I saved Professor Hal! She surveys the carnage. Good work, Solanna, she says grimly. You might have just saved Hal's life. Her shoulders drop. They must have crawled over the walls, buggers. You return to your quarters. Your parents are horrified to see you covered in blood. Relieved when you say it's not yours, then horrified all over again when you tell them about Professor Hal. Your dad checks his hollow palm and tells you they got him to a bed quickly enough for that his injury should heal in a few weeks. I saved Professor Hal's life. And now I'm 12. And I guess we'll go try to comfort Tammy next time.